Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to more Drak vlogs of Blizzcon 2018, where today we're going to be taking on another pleasant announcement. We took on Heroes of the Storm. We've taken on, unfortunately, Diablo. We've also taken on the pleasant announcement of Warcraft 3 Reforged. But now it's time for the Overwatch crowd to be able to finally get their day in the sun, as I kind of got my announcement wrong. I really did think that we were probably going to get a hero and a map. At least I believe that was the official prediction that I made in the live stream. You guys can go double check that. But that was pretty much my prediction for Heroes. Like Heroes, it was going to be a hero and a map, or a map. And then here it was a hero and a map, because that usually seems to be kind of the mode. And here we got the announcement of the 29th, and just because they said it, the 29th.5 hero, Ashe and Bob. So let's go ahead and dive into that and then give my thoughts. So Ashe is the founder of the Deadlock gang. She is basically a character who has grown up in high society and been basically the bully to all of them. She's never really fit into it. She's really not had anybody ever to talk to. In fact, there's a lot of indication that pretty much the only kinship she ever really found, because it doesn't really look like she had it with her parents, was with her big Omnic butler, is basically what they called it, aka Bob. And so at that point, she kind of grew up that way, and then eventually kind of fell into the being an outlaw, and thus started the Deadlock Outlaw gang, along with McCree, as well as two other people that we technically haven't met yet. And so at that point, we then get her as kind of the introduction to the 29th, being the 29th hero, and being kind of a sniper, I don't want to say close quarter, but like she's a sniper damage kind of hybrid. The reason I say sniper is because she does have what is called the Viper. She has a long-range rifle that she can be able to utilize, but it isn't necessarily built always towards sniping, and is just kind of a regular, not a regular everyday rifle, but a regular rifle, and able to handle a certain amount of distance, but not necessarily being able to snipe people out. Although I have a feeling you get the right person with Ashe in their hands, and she's going to be a monster. You also got the added abilities of her being able to have basically a ginormous shotgun. I can't remember what it's called. I think it was like the train gun is what they called it. But it's a ginormous shotgun that has a lot of kick to it, which can either be utilized to give yourself some distance if a close range hero was coming up on you, or, as I saw with the introductory trailer they gave for Ashe, you could actually use it to be able to get up into sniper perches and things like that, to be able to flush out, say, a Widowmaker who's trying to make your life a living hell. And then also the other ability that was really cool, and I have a feeling a lot of people are going to have fun with, is the dynamite. Being able to throw out a bunch of dynamite and being able to shoot it, either have it go off on its own or basically shoot it, so that at that point it can do a lot of dot damage towards anybody it hits. All of these abilities, very cool. It actually makes, at least to me, Ashe a very well-rounded hero. She's good for a lot of situations. And then, of course, we have to go into the ultimate, which is her summoning Bob, who, in my opinion, like, I love Ashe, and I think the audience does too, but Bob stole the show here. Like, a lot of people loved Bob, especially in the reunion animated short that we got, where they had the classic Western standoff, and Bob got to be the one that actually had a drop of lubricant kind of go down his forehead. A lot of people just love Bob, and so it's only appropriate that Ashe gets Bob as an ultimate. And so basically what happens is she says, "Bob, do something!" And then he comes in, he smashes everybody in his path, and then pulls out his Barrett Final Fantasy VII Advent Children guns in his arms and just takes them out from behind. So you can literally just kind of tackle them from both ends. And Ashe is going to have a lot of utility from that. And it actually makes me wonder if, within the first couple of months, Bob is going to get some nerfs. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't actually just go really quick into the animated short reunion that we got specifically for McCree, but also to introduce Ashe. Overall, my thoughts are kind of in the opening ceremony, but they really haven't changed. I even rewatched it just to do this video. I love it. I love what they tried to do with Ashe. Like, at one point, I just felt like she was the stereotypical Western outlaw who's supposed to be the girlfriend, but they had a rocky relationship. And no, when you look back at it, there's actually a tad more depth to her than I gave credit for. And Bob obviously stole the show. He is the comedy factor within Reunion. And there's enough mystery in there, not only with the added panel of being able to say that there are 2 other founding members of the Deadlock Gang, and therefore potential for 2 other heroes in Overwatch, but you also had the possibility of either Bob becoming a hero, which he could be the official 30th hero, and I don't think he's going to be the 30th, but I think he will come down the pike shortly enough. But you also had the introduction of Echo, who we don't know too much about, but apparently she has a kinship with Winston, at least we're assuming. The only reason we're assuming that is because McCree refers to saying that the monkey will be very happy to see her, and then eventually she corrects him saying monkey, and he says, oh, sorry, scientist. So at that point, a lot of people jumped with Winston. It's not entirely a bad jump, considering the information that they gave you. I mean, in a lot of cases, I actually didn't expect her name to be Echo. I expected her to be like a physical representation of Athena, which is the AI that you get to see in the Winston animated short talking to Winston. So I thought maybe we were finally going to get a physical manifestation of Athena. That's not what happened, but Echo, it looks like, might have past relationships with Winston, or at least one of the other scientists within Overwatch. That could be Moira, that could be Torbjorn, it could be a number of other people. My guess is, because of the hints, it is Winston. And so at that point, you have the mystery of these 2 other Deadlock founders, as well as Echo, to be able to kind of fuel the extra hero hype, as well as being able to get our hands on Ashe. And like I said in my post-BlizzCon reactions, Ashe is kind of my spirit animal. Like, I like characters like Reaper who can be useful at mid-range to close range, but also might have some long-range implications, because I also play characters like Lucio, as well as I'm trying to get good at Hanzo and Genji. So at that point, I like characters with a lot of versatility, and Ashe fills a lot of that for me. So I have a feeling I'm going to be spending a lot of time with Ashe, as opposed to, say, Sombra. Sombra doesn't necessarily, like, I get where people like Sombra, but that kind of a character doesn't really speak to me. But Ashe does. Ashe actually makes me want to go back into Overwatch and play specifically as Ashe and see how well I do, as opposed to, say, going back into play Arita or going back into play Ana, all of those other characters that have these interesting quirks, or even Moira, to that matter. Ashe really kind of speaks to me, especially in her aesthetic, where I kind of agree with the developers. Like, if you look at her, she kind of is a female Reaper, and that worked for me. Like, initially, the one hero that sold Overwatch for me was Reaper. So, and that's why I wanted to main him, and then eventually now I'm looking at Ashe and going, I actually kind of want to do that too. I wish that we could say that there was more than that. There were some creating a hero panels and things like that kind of highlighted maybe the possibility of the other 2, as well as Echo coming later. But overall, the emphasis was on Ashe and Bob, and it was well set, and the hype is very much there to basically start a movement for Bob becoming a full-fledged hero, and I'm already on board with that. I would totally play Bob just every now and again. But yeah, overall, the announcement of Ashe for Overwatch was awesome. I can't wait to actually get my hands on her and be able to actually find some time to be able to play as Ashe. But in the meantime, there really isn't much that I can go over, so that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for your continued love, support, and patience with the channel. And of course, when we come back next time, we're going to take on the one announcement that I think was probably the most hyped near the end of the opening ceremony, as we take on Hearthstone with Rastakan's Rumble. We'll see you then.